Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Kim Tucker with Mid-America Association of Real Estate Investors, and I'm here today with Joe Varnadore from NoteSchool. He is going to be our guest in May, and we wanted to learn a little bit more about note investing. Yeah, we might want to know exactly what is a note, because I'm sure there's a few people out there that don't know.
But guys, so when we're talking about a note, we're talking about the loan that you're going to get on the property that you're buying. So whether you're going to Bank of America or Quicken Mortgages or Rocket or Wells Fargo, whatever it is, you're going to go to a closing. If your seller is financing the property, you heard Kim and I both mention seller financing. If the seller is financing, you're going to go in and you're going to sit down and you're going to sign a lot of papers. Kim, I always say it's like being at a Las Vegas blackjack table, right? This closing officer is throwing documents for you to sign, one right after the other. They just want you to sign them and keep your mouth shut and let them do their job, right? That's a lot of paperwork. But the most important piece of paper or document that you sign is the mortgage loan agreement, the promissory note. So, Kim, I can see, there you go. So what is a promissory note and what are we talking about here? So guys, that is the piece, the document that you sign, and the note contains the terms of the agreement. So is it $125,000 loan for at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% interest for 30 years? What's the monthly payment going to be amortized over that period of time? So what you're agreeing to do is by signing this note, you're agreeing to pay your house a payment every month for 15, 20, 30 years. So a note is also called, a home loan, but it's most commonly known as a mortgage. Well, the mortgage is a security agreement, and the promissory note is your agreement to pay the loan back over time. And I always say, Kim, it's an amortized loan, right? So amort means to kill off. And so in Latin, so if you have a 30-year loan, it is a slow, painful death, right? You're paying a lot of interest up front. I always use the joke, the banks kind of have it figured out. Well, I'd rather be the bank than be the landlord. So the banks know that they'll, give you a 30-year loan, and that most people either refinance or sell the house and go buy another house after 5 to 7 years. And, over that first 5 years, 96% of what you've paid is what? It's interest. So, the bank's figured it out. So if you'll click on that next slide, Kim, and we'll kind of show them what this means. So as the owner of the house, you actually have the deed to the property. When I said when you buy a car, your lender holds the title to the car until you write the last check, right? Make the last payment, then you get the title. With a house, well, when you sell the house, the ownership deed transfers from the seller over to the buyer. And then once you do that, if you click over there, it'll go from one to the other. There you go. So the deed goes to the borrower, and the mortgage note goes down to the bank. So what happens there is that the property owner, the new buyer, owns the house, and they also have the deed to the property. There you go. That's pretty cool, Kim. I've not done it like that, but that looks good. So the borrower owns the house, has the deed to the property. The bank or the lender holds the note. That's their security behind that. So if the borrower stops making their payments, if they default on their loan, then the bank, the lender, has to sue the borrower in order to get the deed to the property back. So when we're talking about a promissory note, that is the piece of paper that secures that property so that the lender has security in making a loan to you that you agree to pay over time. Borrower owns the house, holds the title, the deed to the house, the bank owns the note. So what we're talking about is that piece of paper. So no matter if you're buying a house with seller financing or you're buying it with a conventional loan, there's always a promissory note. There's always a promise to pay. So when we're talking about a note, that's exactly what we mean, and being in the paper side of that. So Kim, everybody's always thought that, there's two distinct parts to this thing here, right? There's the property side, and that's what a lot of people know. And then there's the note side, and not as many know. So, if I have 100 people in a room and I, kind of say, hey guys, how many of you have bought a house with seller financing or sold a house with seller financing, or maybe you've bought a non-performing note and you've worked that out, then how many of you have done that? And out of that 100 people, there may be 5, right? There may be 4 or 5, but everybody else don't. And here's what's really interesting is that in most markets, that you have the 95 people that are chasing the very few houses that you can buy at a discount, right? So you got everybody kind of chasing the same deal. And then you've got 4 or 5 people over here that, yeah, they know the 4 or 5, strategies in real estate in the property side, but they don't know these 18 or 17 or 18 other strategies on the note side. So these folks over here, there's 5 of those people chasing 95 note deals versus 95 people chasing the same 5 houses out there. So it's a whole lot less competition. And again, it's really a whole lot less work. So, our goal is to make you at NoteSchool is to make you a deal architect and show you how to kind of build your own little bank. And that's what you've been doing for the last 5-6 years, Kim.
Yeah. And if notes are completely new to you, or even if you're a seasoned investor, I've seen people going and getting into the note business totally brand new, knowing nothing. They had to learn. They didn't have any bad habits to unlearn.
Amen.
And then I've also seen very seasoned investors that have gotten into the note business that just gives them more tools. And I have to say, I've been to, we're 3 different groups of speakers here at MAREI since January. One was a guru that came in, and she's the queen of rehab.
Yep.
Yet she taught a whole day and talked a lot of her examples. She used notes. So when she makes 3 different offers to her sellers, one of them is buying with seller finance. Right. Then we had Brian and Michelle come in and speak with 8 different ways they invested in real estate in February, and every one of those deals that they presented had one portion or more of the 6 niches that you've talked about today. And then we had Vina Jones-Cox in March, and she was talking about wholesaling, yet several of her examples allowed her to buy it with seller financing or sell it with seller financing. So she's taking her wholesaling business and her landlording business to the next step by adding notes into it. So I just think it's amazing that all of these investors eventually get to the